Always have to do. Got my microphone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. I'm stuck on that old one. I got to get that new one in my head. WDMA, we fight for mail and direct marketing every day. I like that one better, but it's just not in my head anymore. Okay, let's get over to the news. Charles Barkley makes jokes about clubbing in Dick's golf cart. Okay, so let's try watching the video. Oops.
Yeah.
Beat. What up, Nick?
Again, Charles?
I need to add to my cart for Father's Day.
Okay, so he's going to add to his cart. Okay, got that? He did a bunch of commercials for Dick's Sporting Goods where he talked about ordering online, how you could still get your stuff while we were all locked down. Well, not in Wisconsin, we weren't, but
I think that's a different type of cart.
Grab those shoes and get in.
Which ones?
All of them. Buckle up.
Coolers?
Rack 'em and stack 'em.
Ooh.
Hit me with that kayak, too. Look at these drivers. Time to go clubbing.
Dad joke?
It's Father's Day.
Oversized load coming through.
What are you calling oversized?
The cart.
who you calling oversized? The cart. So anyway, it's hard to believe that Charles would need anything in his life. He probably, even I have 2 sets of golf clubs in the garage. So anyway, but I enjoyed it, and it was, it's a lot of fun. We always have some fun to start with, to give you something and to make a nice thumbnail for YouTube. Okay, and you can hear me live on YouTube if you want to, and you get some nice notifications. Sometimes LinkedIn doesn't give notifications, so if you're out there, say hello. Okay, now this is scary. I know it's hard to believe, but that Tom Brady NFT might not be real. Scammers on the internet are impersonating crypto celebrities to sell bogus NFTs. And the reason I pull this up is just because it's archetypical of the internet. It is the internet right here. You've got something where you can lock down the forever, the status of an image, but that doesn't lock down the context of the image. It doesn't really say that you built it or any of the stuff that you claim about it. All it is that your relationship with it is locked down, but you might not be. And everybody forgets the context in epistemology, and it's important. It's important in philosophy of science, and it's important in marketing and how you test. So anyway, there are 31,000 fake Tom Brady's. Thanks, Juliet Bennett. I got to say hello to Juliet. I don't remember reading her stuff before, but we'll say hello. Okay, so Paris Hilton says she owns 150 NFTs, and Tom Brady is the co-founder of the NFT platform Autograph. But cybersecurity firm BrandShield recently took a look at the scams and found 41,000 NFTs on OpenSea that are using unauthorized celebrity names or images. 41,000 fake images, most of which were for Tom Brady. How does the scam work? BrandShield says the scammers often create social media profiles. But we know that there aren't fake identities. There aren't fake bots and people on Twitter. They told us so. They told Congress that. Only 5% at tops. Anyway, impersonating celebrities or brands. And they found 2,800 impersonations of Tom Brady alone. So what is a bogus NFT? When you buy an NFT of a picture of Tom Brady, what that NFT represents is that you are the only valid owner of that picture. If someone sells you a fake one, you're not the real owner. Someone just copied it. Well, you are the real owner. You are not nailed down as the real owner of that picture. But it's kind of like someone sold you a poster of the Mona Lisa, claiming it was Da Vinci's original. Except in this case, it's a graphic image, and so it's easier to copy than robbing the Louvre, and you can't hang it on your wall. And that's just a picture of the internet. And I get asked every day if I want help with my digital advertising, and I say, "Oh yeah." And the one thing you know about this show is it's me. The video, this is not an NFT of John. This is not a, what do you call it? I don't remember. The deep fakes. That's what you call it. It's not a deep fake of John Miglosh, because you can only do that stuff in spurts. Now, someone could build a deep fake of me, but obviously you'd know quickly whether they shared my opinions. Okay, now here's an interesting article from Dan Marks. When the print provider customer relationship just isn't right. And I spoke on this just the other day. I mentioned earlier in the week that I'm looking for a CRM that does auto dialing fairly well and maybe connects up with, what was that thing I signed up for yesterday? Slack. And we actually did send messages back and forth with my team, although we don't quite get how the notifications work. I think it basically depends on being on the phone, having an app on the phone. So anyway, we did the Slack thing, and we're getting warmer on that. But I was talking to a CRM company and registered on their site for more information about their CRM. One of the things you'd think would be the minimum for a CRM would be that they send you what they said they were going to send you. I mean, we can automate that, for heaven's sakes. That doesn't even take a robot. Just the type of form you fill in. You should hit it and it should be in your inbox. Nope. I did that on Saturday and it hasn't come yet. So that's a clue. They're just not into me. Anyway, what I said the other day was that customer relationships are not the same as family relationships. But this article from Dan suggests that they are, and here's the similarities. Now, I'm not saying there's no similarities, right? If you don't hear from somebody, they're not into you. I get that, okay? But Dan says, in business relationships, it's important to recognize that first they are relationships. And then he says, like those we have with friends, partners, spouses, and family. Well, a big difference is the financial aspect here, right? Like when you lend your children money and they are slow to pay, you're stuck. You're just stuck with them. My parents had a principle: don't lend our kids any money. But we were stuck with my parents too. You're stuck. You're stuck. And friends, if you do too much financial, the whole point of friends is that they're not in it for the money. If they were, you'd lose all your friends when things were rough, right? Same thing with spouses. For richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, for better and for worse. Those are different than vendor relationships, I have to tell you. They're different. Now, they might have some similarities, but yes, there's communication, reliability, disappointment, trust. But as Matthew Parker points out, if your print company is selling on quality and service, you got nothing to say. Everybody says that. Everybody has customer service, customer support, timely delivery, high quality printing. We're all running on the same equipment, for heaven's sakes. So it's like all that's taken for granted. So it's different. I would say it's so different. But one of the great things about this is that he's got 3 companies and he's got some print salespeople. Bill Farquharson, who is a connection. And so, hi, Bill. I'll reach out to you. And, obviously we're at different stages. Sometimes poor communication and unmet expectations, the obvious reason is a job screw up. If you screw up a job, you can expect to lose it. And oftentimes you do. Depends on how exclusive you are. Depends on what you're connected with, how you've built those other services, right? For example, a database company I know of, historically, they're a good company, but somehow somebody missed the fact that all the addresses had no address line. They had a name and they had a zip code and a city-state zip. So they were deliverable up to the post office. So they went through the data, they went out from the data company and the data hygiene, didn't look for it. No one actually looked at the addresses. The printer printed them, addressed the catalog, and they that one looks like from Heartland. I never get calls from Heartland. So, anyway, so they got to the post office and the USPS called and said, we can't deliver any of these. Bad deal. But I think the printer and the data company both retained that client. I know the client. Okay, but anyway, the printer might say, you've outgrown us, and suggest another printer. And that's happened. And it happens quite a bit, actually, because the best deals are on the print equipment that matches the job. Okay, so if you're doing 10 million catalogs on a run, you're probably going to go to Roto. I would think so. And if your printer doesn't have Roto, then it's a little harder for them to be economical, right? Now then, that printer should talk you into versioning and stuff so that you can't do one big run. But it may not be in your best interest. It may be best, and one of the things, I did a keynote for R.R. Donnelly for their Salesforce one time, about 250 salespeople, and got a standing ovation, which was fun. We got them riled up, I'll tell you. But what I told them was that, your relationship starts with somebody probably too small to print with you. And that happened to me. I printed a general binding catalog. It's up on you can't see it, but it's up there on the wall. And it was only about I think it was only about 500,000 pieces, but it was a 56-page catalog or something. And so it's still a pretty good run. And and Donnelly forgot to check the finished weight of all the signatures. I didn't know that I was supposed to. I was pretty new as a consultant. And it turned out to not make the weight cutoff and was a little more expensive than we expected. Okay, and I just think it was too small a job. But I told the print salespeople when I did this keynote that that you start a relationship with a company when they're small, and hopefully they look for you when they get bigger. But I said one of the reasons I use other printers than Donnelly was at the time getting my order forms printed somewhere else. They didn't do, order forms a lot of times on MiniWeb, Groundwood, and it's just a small job, and sometimes they have an envelope, so the folder formers are a little different. And at the time, Donnelly wasn't doing it. So I went to Amadon in Minneapolis and got that printed, and we shipped that in. I mean, when I first started with my first catalog, we printed at one place, we got the order form at another place, we got the address label stuck on at another place. But eventually, I remember going to visit the Quad plant in the 70s, and they were doing the whole thing for magazines all at once, and with blow-ins and bind-ins and stuff. So as the customers got more sophisticated, the printers, in many cases, added services which cut out other printers. So anyway, Farquharson says, a toxic relationship on the part of customers can occur when the client doesn't pay. Yeah, you can only go so long on that one, right? Or the customer complains too much on a press check. I used to get really good pricing, better than anybody, I think, because I would promise not to even go on a press check. I didn't like doing press checks. I found out at the time that JCPenney didn't go on press checks. And what can you do anyway? If you adjust the flesh tones on one page, it goofs up the item color on another page. It's really the truth. You get a pink streak, or if you up the red or whatever. So there was not a whole lot you could do. And I said to him, I want pleasing color. I was selling imprinted merchandise. So the client didn't really care what color it was. It wasn't like they were trying to match their favorite skirt. They were just giving them away for free to their customers. And their customers didn't care either because they got it for free. So nobody cared about the color. And I said, look, I promise I will not criticize or try to adjust the color on press. I want pleasing color. I want it to look like a shirt. If it looks like an Eskimo or something or a polar bear, no. But if it looks like a shirt, we'll be happy with it. And I promised and promised. And that actually got me lower pricing, and I stuck with it. But some customers say that, and then they go back on it. Some cases, it's no one's fault. Like the Lovesac case study, we were doing a catalog, and we showed them that there was a huge return on investment, but we made so much money with the postcards, and it was less expensive. They said, and it was more versatile in a lot of ways, so we could go with that. Okay, that makes sense. A lot of cases, it's no one's fault. Okay. But when the client leaves, then you don't give them as much service. So we parted company. It's like that. I think I should call him back, though. Maybe we could. That catalog made a lot of sense for him, actually. Okay, and then there's all these breakup lines that they give in this article. You have to have chemistry. It's not exactly true. Like when I was doing roto, how many plants were there? I think Quebecor up in Canada did roto, and Krieger did do roto, but then they went under. And so it was really Donley. And down at their Glasgow, Kentucky plant was the big roto plant. It didn't matter if I liked them or not. It was a better deal. Okay? So, but there is rarely an exclusive. Forkwertson says I want you to be my customer 10 years from now. Well, okay. It may happen, My father used Delzer lithograph in Waukesha for 30, 40 years, and they're still open. Okay, Ted Piddock, owner of Chili Bears, and he prints apparel, says sometimes the clients ask for way too much. Joni Bryant with McNaughton Gun said, we've been around 45 years, and most of our client relationships keep on going. Now, they're a book publisher, book manufacturer. So she had one client leave, but they came back. And Blaine McMillan, who's a wide format printer out in Edmonton, Alberta, I've been there in the winter, said, we never say no to a customer because we're a small market. But when customers leave, they often don't find out why. If they stop talking to us as often, it's a good signal, right? And again, slow to pay means they might be dissatisfied. Piddock says it's the same as dating. And again, I don't agree. But sometimes he prices his company out of the job. If they stick around, he says, then it's on them. That's a kind of a cavalier attitude, I thought. He was kind of more of a son of a gun in this article. But he did say that he had a 6-figure account that was seeking another printer, and so Piddock called up the head of the company and said, we still want you. What can we do? And they said, well, it wasn't my idea. It's probably some buyer somewhere that got a penny difference per piece or something. Sometimes you can say, Piddock says he sends the reasons that he's breaking up in an email. Bad form, I would say. Pitcock. Bad form. Bryant, she's the book publisher, says she'll have at least a conversation. I would say if it's a long-time customer, yeah, give him a call, talk to him. And I've had some really good conversations and learned a lot. And sometimes we have to change, and sometimes it's the market that's changed, and it's hard to fix. But we had a really nice relationship with Hammacher Schlemmer, and they pointed out that they got modeling through their list source. So they used a couple of people, but you'd recognize them. And the modeling was just built right in, and the CFO liked that better. Didn't like that I charged a separate thing and didn't provide the lists. So since then, I've established a relationship with a printer database company that I can work with the lists, which is kind of my thing, really. That's where I really cut most of my teeth, also in graphics. But I can deliver the names and then also build the modeling right in. And so that makes a good point. But Dan quotes in a loop back to the relationship motif that half the marriages in the U.S. end in divorce. It was never a correct statistic, so I just had to call that out. So like this article, I have a lot of difference of opinion with Dan. They think it was a Baptist preacher who started preaching on half the marriages. What he did was he took the number of divorces divided by the number of new marriages that year. And that's where he got the number. But that's not the right number. That's just bad math. If you want to know the percentage of divorces, you have to take it against the pool of marriages, the total pool, because all the divorces came out of that pool. Unless you're talking about the number of divorces that end, the number of marriages this year that ended this year in divorce, in which case it would be fair, and it wouldn't be 50%, because it's fun. At the beginning, it's fun. And I don't think it's still 50%, although that gets bandied about forever. And it just goes to show you that a bad idea, there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come, and that may be one. Have a great day. Like and share. Tell me about your printer relationships, and I'll tell you that they are a vendor. And if you're a printer, you're a vendor. And I'd like to hear from Matthew Parker on